Formalizing a rental agreement in North Cyprus. Northern Cyprus is a unique place with a rich history, great climate and friendly people. However, as with any country, renting a home here can be complicated and confusing if you are not familiar with the local laws and processes. In this article, we'll look at how to get your North Cyprus rental agreement right to ensure you have all the information and protection you need. Preparing for the conclusion of a lease agreement. Before you start the rental procedure, it is important to determine your needs and desired conditions. Be clear about your requirements. Number of bedrooms, whether you need a pool, preferred location, etc. Finding the right home and owner can take some time, so start early, given that most property owners in North Cyprus prefer long-term rentals. But short-term rentals are also possible. It is important to bear in mind that most rental agreements are written in English. Therefore, you should be confident in your knowledge of this language or seek the services of an interpreter. You will need a valid passport or other identification document to sign the lease. A deposit of 1 or 2 months' rent is usually required. It is also important to note that utilities such as electricity, water and internet are usually not included in the rent and are paid separately. Don't forget that you can always contact your real estate agent or lawyer if you have any problems or misunderstandings. North Cyprus offers a variety of accommodation for rent, from modern apartments in the city to traditional villas by the sea. Therefore, it is easy to find the right one to suit your needs and budget. Contents of the lease agreement. The lease must also specify provisions for who will be responsible for repairs and maintenance of the property. Usually minor repairs such as changing light bulbs or repairing plumbing are the responsibility of the tenant, while larger repairs such as repairing the roof or replacing major appliances must be done by the landlord. Provisions for paying a security deposit. This is usually equal to the cost of 1 or 2 months' rent and is refundable at the end of the tenancy if the property is returned in good condition. Provisions for paying for utilities. Usually the tenant pays these costs separately from the rent. Provisions on whether pets can be kept in a rental property. Provisions on the use of the property. For example, some landlords may prohibit the use of their property for commercial purposes. Provisions for the termination of the contract. This includes the conditions under which each party may terminate the contract and the notices they must give each other. In addition, make sure that the contract contains all the details that were agreed upon during the negotiations. If there are clauses in the contract that you do not understand, be sure to consult a lawyer before signing. Legal aspects and protection of rights. Northern Cyprus rental legislation focuses on the protection of the rights of tenants and landlords. It provides for a number of mandatory requirements that must be met in order to enter into a rental agreement, including the registration of the agreement with the local municipality. It is important to note that there are a number of key points to consider when entering into a tenancy agreement. These could be payment terms, maintenance responsibilities, rules of residence, etc. Therefore, before signing the agreement, be sure to read it carefully and make sure you understand all the terms and conditions. If there are disputes between the tenant and the landlord, they will be resolved in the North Cyprus court. If the lease agreement contains unfair terms and conditions, the court may invalidate them. If you are not a North Cypriot citizen, it is advisable to engage the services of a local lawyer to help you navigate the local legislation and protect your interests. It is also worth noting that North Cyprus has a data protection law which ensures the confidentiality of the tenant's personal information. Any use or dissemination of personal information without the tenant's consent is illegal. It is important to remember that although the laws of Northern Cyprus are designed to protect the rights of tenants and landlords, The best way to avoid problems is to carefully review the lease agreement and discuss all issues with the landlord or estate agent before signing the document. The process of concluding a lease agreement. Preparation of documents. You will need to prepare the following documents before you can enter into a lease. Valid passport or identification document. Certificate of income or other proof of financial solvency. In case of accommodation with pets, additional documents may be required. Payment of fees. Payment of fees typically includes security deposit, usually equal to 1 or 2 months' rent. First month's rent. Real estate agent fees, if applicable. Notary fees. Contract signing. After all the paperwork and fees are prepared, you and the property owner sign a lease agreement. This agreement must contain names and contact details of both parties. Description of the leased property. Lease term. Rental cost and payment terms. Rules for the use of real estate. Terms of termination. Contract finalization. Once the contract is signed, it must be notarized. This gives the contract legal force and protects the rights of both parties. It is important to remember that entering into a lease agreement is a legal action that has certain consequences and obligations. Therefore, you should be careful when executing all documents and reading the terms of the agreement. If you have questions or doubts, do not hesitate to contact real estate professionals or lawyers. Next steps after the conclusion of the contract. Fulfillment of obligations. After signing a lease agreement, it is important to make sure that all the obligations stated in the agreement are fulfilled. This may include paying rent on time, keeping the property in good condition, paying utilities, and so on. Problem solving. If problems or disputes arise during the tenancy, they must be resolved in accordance with the terms of the contract and the laws of Northern Cyprus. This may require the use of legal services or the mediation of an estate agent. End of lease term. At the end of the lease term, there are several options available to you. You can extend the lease if it is stipulated in the lease and both parties agree. You can also terminate the lease if you no longer want to continue the lease. In some cases, a new lease can be signed. Refund of deposit. At the end of the rental period and provided all obligations have been fulfilled, your deposit must be returned to you. If there have been any breaches, the property owner may withhold part of the deposit according to the terms of the contract. Relocation. When you move out of your rented accommodation, make sure it is left in the same condition as when you got it. This may require cleaning or repairs. Experience evaluation. After the rental process is over, it is a good idea to evaluate your experience and determine what was done right and what can be improved in the future. This will help you to be more prepared for the next time. Tips and advice on renting in North Cyprus. Identify your needs. Before you start looking for a home, determine your needs and desired conditions. The number of bedrooms, pool, location, and other parameters should be taken into account. Start your search early. Finding the right accommodation can take time. Start early so that you have enough time to research the offers and choose the most suitable option. Check out the owner and lodging. Before signing a contract, make sure the property owner is conscientious and the home is in good condition. Read the contract carefully. The lease should be written in a language you understand and contain all the terms and obligations of the parties. Always read the contract carefully and make sure you understand all its provisions. Consider additional costs. In addition to rent, you may have to pay utilities. Make sure you understand what additional costs you will have to pay. Follow the law and the contract. Your rights and obligations as a tenant are determined by the laws of Northern Cyprus and the terms of the lease. Strictly follow these provisions to avoid problems. Refer to specialists if necessary. If you have questions or concerns, don't hesitate to contact professionals, real estate agents, or lawyers. They can help you understand complex issues and protect your interests. In conclusion, the process of renting a home in North Cyprus, although it may seem complicated, is actually quite straightforward if you know what you are doing. The key is to understand your rights and responsibilities, and always follow the law and the terms of your tenancy agreement.